Welcome. In front of me is a VIVO Y36, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick look at the device itself. So anyway, let's just get straight into it. Okay, put that on here. There we go. So right off the bat we have our phone. See if we can just gently slide it out, and we can. I am gonna put it up right away just so we can actually see the display. Have some crap. Nothing. Now under here we get a case, a silicone one. That's a pretty nice inclusion. And it doesn't stop there. We actually get a charger and the cable. Cable is not surprising, but the charger at current time I guess could be. Anyway, this is a type A to type C, and here it looks like a pretty beefy charger, which is, does it say anywhere like quick? No. And this is, oh wait, there it is. It's a 44-watt charger. You can see it right here. So not only do you have one provided for you in the box, unlike Samsung for instance, or most of the big brands that basically give you the bullshit excuse that it's e-waste, but producing a new phone that barely differs from the last one every single year is not e-waste apparently. So yeah, anyway, they actually provide you with a charger and a decent one on top of that. Now when it comes onto the device, it is a chunky device, as you can possibly see. It is pretty big, and even comparing it to like my device. So this is a Fold, and it's shorter and obviously not as wide, though for some reason Fold, even though it's not much smaller, at least folded, right, it feels significantly smaller when holding it in a hand compared to this. This kind of feels like a brick to me. Maybe I'm just too used to it. Anyway, so the screen right here is a 6.6-inch display with a resolution of 1080p by 2388. It is also an LCD IPS display with 90 Hz refresh rate and a peak brightness of 615 nits. So just to kind of clarify this, it's a mid-range display. They're running at a little bit higher refresh rate than the typical like old school displays on phones. And resolution wise it's pretty good. Now where it's a little bit low on specs, I would say, it's the brightness at 650 nits. It won't get as bright, so it might be a little bit challenging to view this display in direct sunlight. Now continuing on into the cameras at the back, we have a what looks to be a triple camera setup. So the main sensor is a 50 megapixel wide sensor, and the reason why I said looks like a triple camera setup is because the two other sensors are 2 megapixel depth and 2 megapixel macro, both being an absolute garbage sensors that shouldn't be included in any devices. So technically that's all you have right here. This is the only camera that you will ever use, that you should ever use on this device, and under no circumstances should you ever use the two other ones because they're absolute dog shit. And then at the front we got a 16 megapixel wide sensor. Now those cameras at the front and back, your maximum resolution that it can shoot at, videos at least, it's 1080p at 30 frames. And that goes for both of them. Now when it comes down to the internals of this device, we have a pretty decent battery size at 5000 milliamps, and also will charge very quickly with that 44-watt charger. We have a Snapdragon 680 built in there. So again, the phone actually decided to give us a Snapdragon processor in here. It is on the lower end, but it's still, I would argue at this point, good enough processor for basically typical like tasks that most of us do on our devices. So any kind of web browsing, YouTube watching and all that stuff, this processor will handle without a problem. Where it will struggle is obviously the more intensive gaming. Things like, I don't know, Fruit Ninja or Candy Crush, you should have no problem running. But something like, for instance, Division that is going to be coming out, or maybe what was the other one called? It's on the end of my tongue. Whatever. But the most popular one, the Wi-Fi simulator, basically. Yeah, I'm pretty sure maxed out that won't be running too well on this device. Anyway, now one more thing to mention here in terms of the internals, we have a starting version of this device that comes with 128 gigabytes of storage and 4 gigabytes of RAM. And it can go up by another 4 gigs, so 128 with 8 gigs or 256 with 8 gigs. So to be completely honest, if you really want to save up money, you could go for the 128 gigabyte with 4 gigs of storage, though I would say that probably 4 gigs on a modern device running Android 13 might be a little bit on the low side, so I would probably recommend going for the second option, the 128 with 8 gigabytes of RAM, if you have that option. Other than that, the storage here doesn't really matter. 128 is sufficient for basically most applications and just photos and all that stuff. And if you ever think that you need more than the 128, we do have expandable storage somewhere at the top right here. So you can actually put in an SD card and expand it even further. So that is obviously a massive benefit right here. So there we go, that would sum up the device. Now, last thing that I'm going to go over is the build all around. So at the side we have our volume rockers and our power button that doubles as a fingerprint sensor. At the bottom we have a headphone jack and we have a Type-C charging port along with speakers and a microphone hole. Then on our left side we get absolutely nothing. And then at the top, like we've seen before, we have the tray that has a dual SIM tray with a dedicated SD tray and another microphone. And at the back, just the cameras along with the flash, so not much there. So there we go. Now, one last thing that I'll mention here is the price of this device, which it comes at about 200 euros. And to be completely honest, at 200 euros, I think this is a relatively decent bargain for a device that basically tries to give you a mid-range experience for most of the things, like display, processor, and all that stuff. So it seems like a okay device. The question is, do you really like, for instance, the VIVO skin of Android? Because as you know, every company has to have their own skin, and nothing is running, or almost nothing apart from Pixels, is running stock Android. And I think Nokia's. So yeah, there we go. So with that being said, hopefully you found this video helpful, and if you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.